Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Always, yet another podcast, where today we will be discussing Chapter 15, The Forbidden Forest.
Oh my goodness. This chapter, so many issues with this chapter, and yet it's amazing.
It is. And apparently, things couldn't have been worse.
Mm,
I mean, they could have. Have you read the other books? Like, that's such a first book problem.
yeah.
Oh no, they got detention. Yeah, Harry, in like 2 years' time, everyone you know is going to get murdered.
Yeah. Okay. This sentence, how could they have been so stupid as to forget the cloak? Yeah, Harry. How could you have been that stupid?
But actually, we said that in the last episode.
Mm-hmm.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't leave the cloak behind. That's dumb. So I am grateful that she at least acknowledges that's dumb.
That was
You're
stupid.
dumb.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then here's Neville. Okay, I love this. Well, I mean, I love this display of loyalty on Neville's part and this display of friendship. Like, what friend would do that? Only a really sweet, pure, loyal, awesome friend would get out of bed to try to warn you that Malfoy is going to like try to get you in trouble.
Yeah, for real. And really interesting as well is I'd forgotten when reading this book especially that Neville actually plays quite an important role in this story in the sense that he's around a lot.
Mm-hmm.
He's no less important than, say, Hermione is in this first book.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously he's absent from the importance of the narrative for the second and third books. Like, he's there, but he's not relevant. And then in the fourth book, he plays a little bit more of a role. And then in the fifth book, all of a sudden you're like, oh, he's like a main character. He's really important. But it's just so funny because in this book, he's really important.
He is.
And I like that.
I like it too. And I really wish that they would have kept it the same in the movie. I totally understand why they didn't, because Rupert Grint was, a main actor and they had to give him the screen time.
More.
But Okay. Now, this is a Hogwarts problem I have. Professor McGonagall says, I'm disgusted. 4 students out of bed in one night. I've never heard of such a thing before. Really, McGonagall, you were a teacher at Hogwarts when James, Sirius, Lupin, and Pettigrew and Snape were all at school together.
Yeah, they like full-on tried to kill Snape.
And Lupin's a full-on werewolf, and presumably McGonagall knew that. And
no. Yes, she does know. No. Yes, she does know.
Presumably she would have. I mean, I don't know.
We don't know any of that until the third book, so it's immaterial.
But they're such troublemakers. Yeah. How did they not get up to worse hijinks than? And also, McGonagall makes such a big deal about them being out of bed, and I get that they're not allowed to be out of bed, but also,
for real,
she's way too hard on them.
150 points from Gryffindor.
Mm-hmm. The detentions, yes, give them those detentions. They deserve it. But 150 points.
I know, right?
I can't.
It's one of those administrative things where I'm like, I just don't understand the scale of rule breaking.
Mm-hmm. I know.
I don't understand.
Yeah. But, so then the next day, all the Gryffindors find out what happened. And they find out that Harry has lost them all these points. And
they're mad.
Of course they are. I would be too.
And they have every right to be.
Of course. But look what it does to Harry. Well, it was a bit late to repair the damage, but Harry swore to himself not to meddle in things that weren't his business from now on. He'd had it with sneaking around and spying.
Oh, good. I wonder how long that will last.
Like a page. He felt so ashamed of himself that he went to Wood and offered to resign from the Quidditch team. That is some deep shame. Harry feels really bad about this.
Yeah, literally, like, only a book from now, he's going to be like, nah, it's cool. I'll go into the Chamber of Secrets. It doesn't matter.
Yep. Oh, dear.
No shame.
And okay, this paragraph, Harry was almost glad that the exams weren't far away. All the revision he had to do kept his mind off his misery. He, Ron, and Hermione kept to themselves, working late into the night, trying to remember the ingredients in complicated potions, learn charms and spells off by hearts, blah, blah, blah. Harry's losing himself in his schoolwork for the only time in the series.
Ever, right. And can we, okay, right. I realized that you didn't go to school.
Right, sure.
But
I did go to school. Continue.
No, you didn't. For the intents and purposes of this discussion, you didn't go to school.
Okay, yes.
I ain't never been given so much homework or revision around exams when I'm 11 that I needed to study into the night.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying. Hogwarts stresses me out.
Yeah.
This homework. Real. Like, they're 11 and they're yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like, I didn't study this much at university.
Yeah, exactly. I may have studied this much when I was a senior in high school. I don't know.
No, I didn't even.
Yeah. No, actually, I never did. I never studied this much.
I mean, and here we are in our 30s and doing a podcast about Harry Potter. So, I mean, study.
So clearly,
do your schoolwork, kids.
Guys, stay in school, study, work hard.
Stay in. I mean, we stayed in school. We just didn't stay in school with passion. Anyway, moving on.
Okay, so then Harry hears Quirrell crying a little bit, and then Harry was halfway towards the door before he remembered what he'd promised himself about not meddling. So then he doesn't meddle, but then he goes to tell Ron and Hermione what he's seen. But then, the light of adventure was kindling again in Ron's eyes. But Hermione answered before Harry could. Go to Dumbledore. That's what we should have done ages ago. If we try anything ourselves, we'll be thrown out for sure. And then Ron says, if we just do a bit of poking around. No, said Harry flatly. We've done enough poking around.
Well, I mean, he's sticking to his guns. That's good.
Mm-hmm. But I just love that temptation of, but we could just poke around a little more. We could just do something. No.
I really enjoy, I was listening, I don't know if you saw yesterday, Andy Serkis did a Hobbitathon where on YouTube he read the entirety of The Hobbit.
Wow.
From start to finish. It took 12 hours. It was amazing.
Wow.
But I was reminded when listening to it of in The Hobbit where Bilbo says, adventures, no, pesky things, adventures. They make you late for dinner. And it's just a funny little line. But also, I was thinking about that quite a lot when you reread these and you just think, stop going on adventures. You're 11. Do your homework.
Mm-hmm.
Worry about kissing people. Like, I don't know.
Well, they're about to have a ton to worry about because of this frickin' detention that I can't deal with and won't be a part of and can't handle.
Yeah, that like, oh, you were out of bed late. Here's detention. But then the detention is them being out of bed late in an even more dangerous environment than the safe confines of the castle, which we keep being assured over and over again no one can break into. Right.
This is literally the most dangerous and also quite specialized work. And
for real. Well, we don't know, like, it takes a super dark wizard or dark thing to kill a unicorn. Then why are you taking 11-year-olds into the woods to find out who's doing it?
Honestly, if you're looking for some... Okay, so this sentence... Well, okay, so it's Harry, Hermione, Neville, and Malfoy. They get sent to the forest. Filch takes them, and he's like... wishes he could string them up by their ankles with chains and whip them. And that's really...
I feel like if a custodial staff member said that to a student in a school now, they would go to prison.
For the rest of their lives, 100%.
For the rest of their life.
Okay, Malfoy pulls his very first ever, if my father knew about this. So he said, if my father knew I was doing this, he'd tell you that's how it is at Hogwarts, Hagrid growled. No.
Yeah, he probably wouldn't know,
That is not what Lucius Malfoy would say, and that is not how it is at Hogwarts.
No, it never is.
Never. If you think your father'd rather you were expelled, then get off back to the castle and pack. Go on. Honestly, I can't.
And you just wonder how Dumbledore approves of this, you know? Like, I mean, I know how he approves of it. With the same mentality that he approves of leaving an 11-year-old in an abusive household
There it is.
for so long.
There it is. But, okay, so Malfoy says there's werewolves in the forest. Okay, I'm already out. Then,
yeah,
so they find splatters of
this
unicorn
forest
blood.
is in the school ground.
What?
This forest is in the school grounds.
I know.
It is on campus, and there are werewolves.
I know. I just can't. They find, well, first of all, they split up, and Hagrid sends Fang with them. Which, honestly, what good is Fang gonna do them?
But also beyond that, I can't. We move on. I don't have the energy to discuss sending 2 11-year-olds and a dog into a place where there are werewolves and something worse than werewolves killing unicorns.
Seriously. And they're supposed to try to find out what it is. Because it says, could a werewolf be killing the unicorns? Harry asked. Not fast enough, said Hagrid. It's not easy to catch a unicorn. They're powerful magical creatures. I never knew one to be hurt before. So if even a werewolf can't kill a unicorn, they're looking for something even more dangerous than a werewolf.
Yeah,
and I won't be a part of it, and I won't stand for it.
Yeah, it's too much. I mean, like, it's a great story, and we're really enjoying it, but at the same time...
Did Rowling not think that through just a little bit?
Also, clearly werewolves are scary. Harry literally asks if it's a werewolf like 15 times in this chapter. Is it a werewolf? And Hagrid's like, if it wasn't a werewolf the first time, why would it be a werewolf when you ask the second time?
Yeah.
Please assume that from here on out, it's never a werewolf.
Yeah. Well,
because
so then,
it isn't. It's literally never a werewolf. It never is. Not just in this book. In any of the books, it's never a werewolf.
No. Well, so then they meet the centaurs, centaurs are always used so differently in stories. I mean, centaurs in Harry Potter are so different from centaurs in, like, Narnia or other mythologies. So I'm always fascinated to see what a story will do with a centaur.
Yes, and the centaurs literally appear in this and then don't appear again until the 5th one?
I don't know. I mean, they kind of show up whenever they go into the forest, but I don't remember. They're not super important to the...
No, but they're a really nice addition. And, like, the fact that she's clearly got this carefully structured, like, centaur oligarchy, hierarchical, political structure. That I want to know more about that.
I know.
So we meet Bane.
Yes.
And Ronan.
Yes. I don't really like them, but they don't really do much of anything. They're just kind of jerks, but not too much. So we don't care too much about them.
Yeah, they're slightly jerky. But then in the next scene, is it the next page or the page afterwards, they're then kind of racist.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so then they realize the other group so Harry and Hermione are with Hagrid, and Malfoy and Neville are separate from them. So then they see red sparks and realize the others are in trouble. Malfoy has scared Neville. Honestly, what an idiot. Also, how did Malfoy not just, like, park himself under a tree and refuse to move now that Hagrid's gone? Like,
I can't help you. It doesn't quite land for me, but
I don't understand. But so then Harry goes with Malfoy and Fang, and they actually find the dead unicorn. This is a very haunting scene. You really feel so sorry for the unicorn.
It is. Something bright white was gleaming on the ground. They inched closer. It was the unicorn, all right. and it was dead. Harry had never seen anything so beautiful and sad. Its long, slender legs were stuck out at odd angles where it had fallen, and its mane was spread pearly white on the dark leaves. Harry had taken one step towards it when a slithering sound made him freeze where he stood. A bush on the edge of the clearing quivered. Then, out of the shadows, a hooded figure came crawling across the ground like some stalking beast. Harry, Malfoy, and Fang stood transfixed. The cloaked figure reached the unicorn. It lowered its head over the wound in the animal's side and began to drink its blood.
This is the scariest thing that's really happened. I mean,
this is a children's book.
Yeah. Like, this is the most, like, horror type thing that has happened yet in this book.
But then, this is the key moment. This is ultimate mic drop. Then a pain pierced his head like he'd never felt before. It was as though his scar was on fire. This is the first time that we learn about the association between when his scar hurts and then he's like, oh, my spidey sense is tingling.
That must mean Voldemort's around.
Exactly.
But then, it's okay, here comes another centaur.
Who is younger, hotter,
and nicer.
And looking for a night on the town.
And he rescues Harry. I really like him.
Who, Firenze?
Firenze, yes.
Yeah.
Because he's nice and he's not racist.
Well, I mean, it's so helpful when people aren't racist, you know?
I know. Oh my gosh.
I find that a helpful character trait.
Yes, I do. Yes. Do you not see that unicorn, Firenze bellowed at Bane? Do you not understand why it was killed? Or have the planets not let you in on that secret? I set myself against what is lurking in this forest, Bane. Yes, with humans alongside me if I must. Sometimes
I like them a lot.
Yeah. Sometimes you have to do things you kind of would rather not do or that you wouldn't naturally do in order to do what's right. And then...
Yeah, it's a nice moment where he stands up for what's right in the face of what's usual, which is good.
Mm-hmm. And then, okay, this conversation... Well, go ahead.
Yeah. I was just going to say, I was going to talk about this conversation too, so you go right ahead.
Well, it's, Harry says, why is Bane so angry? What was that thing you saved me from anyway? And then Firenze says, do you know what unicorn blood is used for? And he said, that is because it is a monstrous thing to slay a unicorn. Only one who has nothing to lose and everything to gain would commit such a crime. The blood of a unicorn will keep you alive, even if you are an inch from death, but at a terrible price. You have slain something pure and defenseless to save yourself, and you will have but a half-life, a cursed life, from the moment the blood touches your lips. It's very thought-provoking.
It is. And and then the deep question, but who'd be that desperate? If you're going to be cursed forever, death is better, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
He is only 11. That's a big old question for an 11-year-old.
That is a really deep thought. But then, can you think of nobody?
What do you think? Yeah, Mr. Potter, do you know what is hidden in the school at this very moment? Why do they know? It is not well guarded if the centaurs who don't meddle in human activity know that the Philosopher's Stone is buried in the castle at this very moment. Dumbledore needs to stop just willy-nilly telling people that the stone is at the castle.
It could have been Hagrid, because we do know that Hagrid's not the best at keeping these things.
Stop being a drunk psycho.
I know. Or they could have, read it in the planets or whatever. But otherwise, I see your point. I really have no idea.
And then we realize, can you think of nobody who's waited many years to return to power, who has clung to life, awaiting their chance? Do you mean, Harry croaked, that was And then they run up to him. Harry, they have a habit. Okay? They have a habit in the first two books of Harry experiencing horrific things by himself. And then just as he's about to actually find out what's going on, they come along and go, "Are you all right?" And you're thinking, "Oh my lord." Like,
just give him a second to work it all out and then see if he's okay.
But I also read this and can't help but think that immediately Hermione would have been like, "Ah, yes, I see. It must be Voldemort. I imagine that if he was that well put together, he must have an accomplice that's helping him. I wonder who it would be." I feel like Hermione would figure all this out, and so it's a shame that Harry's the one that sees it.
I know. Yeah, he doesn't really. Yeah. Hermione is queen forever and deserves everything. But okay, so somehow they finish this detention. They get back to the castle. They get back to Ron. I'm kind of glad that Ron didn't have to go through this. So Snape wants the stone for Voldemort, and Voldemort's waiting in the forest, and all this time we thought Snape just wanted to get rich. I don't really think that's what they thought. I don't think they did have a thought about what Snape really wanted to do with the stone.
But also they're 11. Don't forget that they're 11. Like, they don't...
I don't think they remember that they're 11 sometimes.
Their concept of all-consuming evil and what one might or might not do for what reasons is pretty low. Harry just got detention and literally says it couldn't be any worse.
Yeah.
They have no, at this point in the narrative, they've got no scale of how bad things could or couldn't be.
Also,
in a couple of weeks' time, he's going to be like, "Oh, my best friend dies. Nah, it's cool. It'll be worse."
I do want to point out, we have to go like all the way back, but, well, not all the way back, but before their detention, Harry had forgotten they still had detentions to do. He half expected Hermione to complain that this was a whole night of revision lost, but she didn't say a word. Like Harry, she felt they deserved what they'd got. No. You don't deserve to go wandering through a forest at night looking for something more dangerous than a werewolf.
But equally, at the same time, I have to say, as much as I don't like him, one of the reasons I think Snape is such a good character is because if I was a teacher at Hogwarts, I would be so annoyed with the fact that I'd be like, "No, you are a student. Follow the rules. Stop being so arrogant and thinking they don't apply to you."
Yeah.
I don't care if Hagrid has a dragon that he's sad about. That's Hagrid's fault. He's an adult and he shouldn't be confiding in 11-year-olds.
Yeah.
Stop breaking the rules, go to detention, and if you happen to get killed by Voldemort along the way, good, because then you won't break the rules anymore.
Okay, that's a little too far. But also, stop breaking the rules.
But also stop breaking the rules.
So then we finish this chapter.
They talk all night. Okay, I can't. The sky had turned light before they stopped talking. They went to bed exhausted, their throats sore, but the night's surprises weren't over. When Harry pulled back his sheets, he found a dead unicorn. No, Harry pulled back his sheets.
It's the Godfather, surprise!
He found his invisibility cloak folded neatly underneath them. There was a note pinned to it, just in case. I love a mystery. But also, no.
Yeah, I'm with you this time.
Because we all know who it is.
Yeah.
And I won't be a part of it.
Yeah. It doesn't make sense to me. Just, I'm not buying it.
The end.
All right, seriously, the end.
The end. Yes.
That's chapter 15. And we'll see you next time for chapter 16. We're almost done, guys.
Well, on this book.
On this book. We have 6 more to go. We'll be here for a long time.
Yeah.
We'll see you next episode.
Okay, bye.
Bye.